Welcome to the AME Food Safety Show. Today's topic looks over the rainbow for something wonderful, a beautiful experience somewhere over the rainbow where bluebirds fly. The reality is, a lot of us go to McDonald's for something that used to fly and that we want to eat, also known as chicken McNuggets. Let's take a quick look at it. First slide, please. This slide talks about many ingredients. Some people call it 25 ingredients in McDonald's Chicken McNuggets products. What's so horrible? Andy, why are you picking on McDonald's? We love that product. It's so crunchy and tasty. Look how it comes in a cute box and it's so reasonably priced. I'm not really saying anything negative about it, but I'd like any parent or any human that consumes this product to know a little bit about it. Not to discourage or encourage, simply to gain more knowledge about what's going inside your bodies. Next slide. I will say this, in my research I have found that there was an enormous controversy recently about the idea of these types of products, including a pink slime. What is that? That is mechanically extracted meat from animal products composited into machinery, which then places it into a liquid, semi-liquid format. In that solution, it requires to have ammonium hydroxide to clean any remaining pathogens so it can then be placed into food products. What McDonald's currently boasts in its electronic media about its ingredients is that chicken breast, the actual white meat part of chicken products, and a bit of ends are included only in the Chicken McNuggets product, not any pink slime, also known as mechanically separated chicken, and they've done that since 2003. So it's 2015. That's quite a long history of their vendor provision of this product, which doesn't have any pink slime. Also, any mechanically separated chicken, or MSC, must also be labeled. If you go to McDonald's, there are various fine print posters which list the ingredients and nutritional elements of the products you're purchasing. We talked about ammonium hydroxide, but let's think about other chicken products that may be included in your mind. What is it? Head, feet, organ meat, or any other byproducts are also not included. If you buy a hot dog or a sausage, well, that probably wouldn't apply, or any kind of poultry type hot dogs. You will have probably evidence of this pink slime and the ammonium hydroxide. It's a disinfectant. No meat glue. In other words, this is a pure product according to their documentation. Next slide. What is included is a product which may interest you if you consume these on a regular basis. We have talked quite often about genetically modified organisms. What is it? It's produced exclusively by a company called Monsanto. These are three types of maize or corn products listed on the right hand of the screen there, also known as NK603, MON810, and MON863. These are enzymatically treated corn starches, which are added as a glue, if you will, as a composite or a chemical residue which is inside of a chicken McNugget. Is it harmful for you? Well, that's a question you have to answer. The purpose of this program, this segment, is never to recommend eat or don't eat. What it's recommending is that you become more aware about what you're eating. One of the things is that almost always, which means 99% of all of these chicken McNuggets, is manufactured with modified cornstarch. What is it? It is genetically modified corn as the base ingredient. If you believe that there are chemicals that are sprayed on this corn as a result of their genetic makeup is retention or retained. We can say that there was a French mice study. What the French did for 90 days, that's all they fed them was modified cornstarch. And that study held out its findings that they found damage to kidneys, liver, detoxifying the organs, the heart, the adrenal glands, the spleen, and other systems. Those two links down below show you very clearly the evidence of that study that you can review to later. But here's the challenge. If you don't have a problem with you, your children, your parents, any other person eating genetically modified cornstarch, then you can rest assured that that product is safe for you and your family, and you will have no medical effects. Next slide. We've talked about this ingredient before in a special segment. It's a modified form of salt, if you will. It's also known as monosodium glutamate. It's MSG. It has been used in the Orient as a flavor enhancer, much like salt. But the bottom line with MSG, it's widely used in many processed foods and also added to many Asian dishes. What I've seen recently are Asian restaurants, Chinese, Japanese, that publicly list with signs in front of the entrances that say no MSG used in this facility, the restaurant. Some restaurants don't bother to put that up. Maybe they use it, maybe they don't. The challenge is that the studies with medical biometrics has proven that there is no effect on the overwhelming majority of people. Some people have a sensitivity to MSG. The fact is it was developed during World War II to allow Japanese soldiers to eat horse meat, which had otherwise turned rancid or rotten. They still ate it. They loved it. It's found in many popular places like Kentucky Fried Chicken and other popular fast food organizations. Next slide. Well, let's look at the seasoning that was listed on the McDonald's ingredients website. These are fascinating chemical components, food components, if you will, but the chemistry is allowed to add a very tasty experience for the food consumer. Let's look at this list real quick. Analyze yeast extract. Interesting. Salt. If you're allergic to salt or you can't have it because of high blood pressure or any other condition, you may think twice about consuming a McDonald's McNugget. Wheat starch. We already talked about that. It's a processed food that contains just the starchy part of wheat. Natural flavor. My research has shown that it's usually MSG or it's from a botanical source. It's unclear about that. Usually it's from China, by the way. Safflower oil, dextrose, which is a sweetener, citric acid, we're going to talk about that, and rosemary. If you're comfortable with those ingredients put into a mix, a mash, if you will, as you see that picture on the right-hand side, those ingredients are put on in various components. And I understand that the seasoning is not universal. You may have a chicken McNugget in California and then go down to Costa Rica and ask for one, and it'll be completely a little different taste because it's modified for the taste palettes of different areas. Next slide. Citric acid. What is that, Andy? You just showed me that in the list. Well, let's look at it real quick. Do you know any of your friends or relatives that have children with those bright rosy cheeks? That was one of the reasons that the Germanic people used to twist the cheeks of the females to make their cheeks look rosy. There's also makeup, which will put a red tint on females' faces. What is that? That could be. I'm not making a medical diagnostic here, but my diagnosis also includes the allergic reaction that many people have to a acid component called citric acid. Nothing to do with oranges or lemons. What happens is that these individuals, and I don't know if you have it, I do not have it, they will have a rash, an external rash, red in color. It's manufactured as an industrial culture or a type of mold, Aspergillus niger. And what this does, it adds a certain preservative feature to any food that's added. Now, what a culture is, it's a ingredient. These are actually plants, and they add sugar to grow these reaction chemicals. It's often derived from corn. The symptoms of citric acid sensitivity, that's the allergic reaction that someone would get. If you have this, you may want to look at this. There are certain evaluative diagnostic tests which will determine whether or not you have this condition. You can have mouth ulcers like the picture in the middle. You can have abdominal pain, bloating, diarrhea, or headaches. These are common reactions to people that have this type of allergic reaction. I'm not saying that everybody's going to have it or anybody with a rash like that, this is the reason. It's something to think about if you have this experience after eating McDonald's, McNuggets, products. Next slide. Well, let's look at another issue that's quite often overlooked, ignored, and otherwise not thought of when thinking of the actual consumption of the McDonald's, McNugget products. It's calories. If you're a calorie watcher, and it's obvious, being in today's society in the United States, we have very few people watching their calories. Most people are pear-shaped, primarily from oils, sugars, and other ingredients that are retained in the body and are not burned off through exercise. Let's look at that chart on the left that actually comes from McDonald's. They're claiming that the average McDonald's nugget claims 47 total calories. 27 are from fat. If you have a position in your personal biology that you want to reduce the number of fat calories, you may look at this product. It's almost 50%. In fact, it may be even more. 50% is fat. We have saturated fat, trans fats. What is that? These products are cooked in hot oil. The oil is absorbed. When you look at oil in the McDonald's facility, you'll see French fries in some oil. You'll see fish cakes in some oils. You'll see other types of products beyond chicken McNuggets that are in a basket. And if that oil is dark and it has been used overly and the employees have not changed it, you'll be absorbing more than just oil. You'll be absorbing the accumulated oils of many of these chicken McNuggets products. Let's look at that. Carbs. There are a lot of studies on carbs and a human's consumption of carbs. So the dietary fiber, the sugars, the proteins, and the calcium, all of that is multiplied by 10 or 20. Those are sold in boxes of 20. Maybe you're not going to eat it yourself, but not including the sauces and the effective sauces. By the way, today's discussion is excluding sauces. A kid-sized serving contains about 210 calories, with 120 or 57% of those calories being fat. Now, these are plus or minus because they're all variable size and dimension, and you can have a lot of chuckles about, oh, this looks like that, like clouds. By weight, the nuggets contain 13 grams of fat, 12 grams of carbohydrates, and 10 grams of protein. Those are the declared calories. Next slide. Here is one of my propositions and my suggestions to you. How does a chicken McNugget become a chicken McNugget? Well, you have the actual chicken. You have all the batter and spices and whatever. You fry it in hydrogenated oils. They call it bean oil or vegetable. They don't tell you which one. And then you have the nugget. Here is my advice to you. Consider who manufactured it, the process, the ingredients, and your bodily reactions for everything that goes down your gullet, and you will be better off. If you want to get fat, you want to retain carbohydrates, you want to look at those hydrogenated oils in your body, eat this product. Thank you very much.